Hi everyone, it's Miss Mayorga, and here is another video. This time we are going into Unit 3. All right, so we are actually going to be skipping Lesson 1 and 2. So this video is for Unit 3, Lesson 3. So go ahead and log into code.org if you haven't already. You don't need your notebook open for this lesson. I have it open. I'm going to go over the essential question and learning objectives, but just go ahead and log into code.org, go to Lesson 3. Okay, so lesson 3 is drawing in Game Lab. We're going to think about how we can communicate to a computer how to draw shapes on the screen. And our learning objectives are to use a coordinate system to place elements on the screen and to sequence code correctly to overlay shapes. To sequence means to put things in a specific order. Okay? So we're going to be working on bubbles 1 through 10. Bubble 11 is an optional challenge, and I will not be grading any bubble for this lesson. However, what you learn in this lesson will be assessed in future lessons. All right. This should be due by the end of class, and homework will be to finish the lesson if you don't. All right. Let's go ahead and get started. Lesson 3, Unit 3, Interactive Animations and Games. Lesson 3. Let's go to the overview. Here we go. Don't really need to go through this. It's what we already reviewed, objectives and essential question, some of the new code we're going to learn. So let's go ahead and move on to bubble number 2. Explore Game Lab. Welcome to Game Lab, where you can create interactive animations and games. You've already practiced the basics of putting shapes on a grid. In Game Lab, you'll do the same with the display area on the left. Do this. Look at the line of code in the workspace below these instructions and discuss with me, you can't really with your partner, but discuss with your partner where you think the shape will be drawn on the grid. Click Run to run the program and see what happens. Change the numbers inside the block, then try running the program again. Try to place the rectangle near the bottom right of the screen. All right, first thing, rectangle. So that's saying it's going to draw a rectangle or a square. And 100, 100. Those are coordinates. So based on that, where do you think the computer is going to draw this rectangle? Here is our grid. Where do you think the computer is going to draw the rectangle? All right, well, let's go ahead and see where it does do it. Let's click Run. And there is our rectangle, all right? So 100, 100, as you hover over the grid down here, you're going to see coordinates, right? And 100, 100 is right in this top left corner. I can't get there exactly, but it's right about there. You can also click the Show Grid button, and that's going to show you the grid lines, right? So you can keep that on there, or you can turn that off. It's completely up to you. Cool. Now that we've clicked Run and we checked how the program works, let's go ahead and change the numbers inside the block, then try running the program again. Pick whatever numbers you want and see where the shape ends up. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pick, 484 and 333. And there's my shape. I do want you to notice something. The grid here, there are limits, right? 0, 0 goes all, x-axis goes all the way up to 400. Really it goes past that, but we won't be able to see anything on our screen if you move past that point. The y-axis, 0 to 400. You can go into the negatives, but that's going to be above the screen. We won't see it. And you can go greater than 400, but that's going to be below the box. We won't see it. So when you put in your coordinates, you just have to make sure that your coordinates are actually going to show up in the screen. Otherwise, you might end up outside of the screen and your rectangle won't show up. Okay, try to place the rectangle near the bottom right of the screen. So we want the rectangle right here. Remember, when we think about our position of a rectangle, we need to think about where do we want the top left corner. So in order for this square rectangle to be right here, where should the top left corner be? Yeah, it should be right here, which is about 350, 350. So let's go ahead and change our values here to 350 and 350 for y. Reset and run. And there we go. We have our rectangle in the bottom right of the screen. Go ahead and click finish and continue. This right here is a video that I'm going to have you watch on your own. So go ahead and pause this video, watch the video on Code Studio, and then when you're done, come back to this video. All right, moving on to bubble 4. Place squares in corners. A big part of Game Lab is understanding position. Remember, you can always turn on the grid or hover hover with the mouse to help find the X and Y position you want. Right. So as I move around, it shows me where my X and what my Y is. If you want to show the grid, you can show the grid. Do this. Place 2 rectangles exactly in the corners of the screen, just like the picture. Right. So right now there's 1 rectangle. We have to move it around. Let's go ahead. We already know how to get this rectangle down here. That's 350, 350. So I'm going to go ahead and change the coordinates here. 350, 350. All right, we're halfway there. We already got that one. Now the next thing is going to be figuring out how to put a square rectangle right here in this top left corner. What do you think we need to do? Go ahead and pause the video, try it yourself, and then come back to the video. Okay, hopefully you dragged another block, another rectangle. We need to make a second one. Right now, that's going to show up right here, which is not where we want it. We want the top left corner to be right here. What are the coordinates for this top left corner? 0, 0. Yeah, so that's actually going to start at the origin. I'm going to delete that. 0, 0, 0, 0. And ta-da, we did it. I'm going to take off the grid. There you go. Go ahead and click finish. Move on to bubble 5. Here we have another video. So go ahead and pause my video again. Watch the video on Code Studio and then come back. Okay, bubble 6. So in the video, you should have been introduced to something called fill color, a new block. It should show you that we were able to change the color of blocks, right? The first couple of bubbles that we did, the blocks were gray. That's the default. But now we're learning how we can change the fill of the blocks. You can also make your rectangles different colors with fill. It will set the color for every shape that comes after it in the code. Look at the code that sets the color. You can click show me where. This block right here we use to choose the color for whatever shape you're drawing. Change the color from blue to yellow. Okay, so right now it's blue. We're going to go ahead and change that to yellow. Yellow. Don't delete the quotation marks, those should stay there. Yay, now it's yellow. All right. Add a new square by dragging a rectangle block into the code area below the fill command. The new square can go any location on the screen that you would like. All right, so we're going to go ahead and drag this, add it here. And the instruction says you can add the new square anywhere on the screen you want. I'm going to go ahead and try and get it just like the picture here, which means that it should be, what is this? This is 100? Okay. 100 for the X, and I'm going to bring it down 200 for the Y. So I'm going to go 100 and 200. 100 and 200. Now you don't have to do this. I just wanted to do it like the picture. You can put the shape wherever you want on the screen. But you should have 3 rectangles or squares on your screen. All right, go ahead and click finish. Doo-doo. And then we're moving on to bubble 7. Order matters. So in Game Lab, what order you choose, what order your code is, blah, blah. In Game Lab, it matters what order your code is in. New shapes are drawn on top of the ones that came before, covering up the shapes that are drawn first. You can see the difference when you use more than one color in your code. So look at the code that draws the 2 rectangles. The first is drawn red and the second is drawn blue. So if we click run, we've got a red one and then the blue one. We look at our code, Red is showing up first and then blue. So again, if you think about a painting, if you paint a color and then you paint over, it's going to cover part of that previous shape, right? If we paint the red shape and then we paint the blue shape on top, it's going to cover up a portion, right? So you have to think about what do you want at the very bottom, the first layer, and then the second layer. And that's going to help you figure out what order does your code need to go. Let's take a look at the instructions. Change the red rectangle's color to green. All right, so we need to change red to green. Go ahead and change red to green. Change the order of the code so that the green appears on top. Okay, so basically we want our screen to look like the picture here, where the green is on top and the red is on the bottom. Right now, the green is on the bottom, but we need to bring it to the top. So think about the order. Which shape should be drawn first? The red rectangle or the blue rectangle? Then, which shape do we draw? Okay, hopefully you said the blue. So again, think about painting. If we're painting, we would draw the blue shape first, and then on top of that, we would paint the green rectangle. So our code should have the blue blocks first, and then the green blocks. So all we need to do is we need to shift the green fill and the rectangle for that, we need to shift it down. So I'm going to go ahead and drag this block. You can click and drag, and then click and drag the rectangle. So now you're telling the computer first draw a blue rectangle at 200, 200, then draw a green rectangle at 175, 175. So when we click reset and run, it draws the blue one first and then the green one. I hope that makes sense. As we keep working on it, you'll get more practice. If you have questions about this or you're still confused, let me know. Okay, go ahead and click finish. And moving on to bubble 8. Okay, ellipse. So this is a different shape. You can use ellipse to make a circle. Do this. Look at the code that makes the ellipse. Add a new ellipse of a different color. All right, so far we have fill. What does that do again? What does the fill block do again? Yeah, that changes the color. That decides what the color is going to be. An ellipse is telling the computer what kind of shape you're making. So in this case, we're making an ellipse or circle, and it's teal. Then it's asking you to add a new ellipse of a different color. So go ahead and pause, try it yourself, and then come back to the video. Okay, hopefully you were able to figure it out, but if not, this is how you would do it. You'd have to choose the color first. This is one thing that people forget. First, you have to choose the color. If you're painting, right, if you're going to change colors, you have to dip the paintbrush into the paint of the color that you want, and then you draw. That's the same thing with the computer. You have to tell the computer first, what color do you want? Now, what do you want to draw? All right, so we want a different color. I'm going to go ahead and go with, I don't know, burgundy. Let's just say red. Okay, red and an ellipse. You decide where you want the position. I'll just leave it at 200, 200. But now I should see a teal circle and a red circle. Ta-da! There you go. So again, make sure that you tell the computer the color first and then the shape that you want to draw. Go ahead and click finish. And continuing on to bubble 9. So I'm actually going to pause the video here because I'm going to run out of time, and I will pick up on bubble 9 in the next video. All right, see you in part 2.